other than his has an enclosed cab. This one obviously does not. His is missing a bunch of the engine parts, and
Fans from all over the world came to see tools from the past come to life at one of the biggest antique equipment shows in the world. One of them was Matt Stetar, whose name you may know if you follow the repair of heavy equipment. Matt is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and his Diesel Creek YouTube channel has made him a devoted fan base. On this channel, he crafts old machines back from the brink of destruction. He showed up at the event with his original Caterpillar 977K, which had no cab or other extras. People have started to ask a different kind of question, though, not just about grease and gears. What happened to the culture that used to be getting better behind Diesel Creek? Once upon a time, the polished tools, rising channel, and passionate projects gave the impression of wealth. But where does Matt Stetar stand now? How hard it is to build a job? Within the past 10 years, the internet has brought about fresh ideas and new ways to help people get excited about watching shows again. Diesel Creek was one of those online shows that had been getting bigger over the past few years. People watched as Matt Stetar showed them what it was like to work with big tools and diesel-powered cars. Besides that, he gave good tips on building and making things. Matt Stetar was born and raised in Burgettstown, Pennsylvania. He became interested in working with machines, even though no one else in his family did. His dad wasn't very good with machines, and his grandfather was the only one in the family who had worked as a mechanic. He died before Matt could learn anything from him. Matt became interested in tools and engines on his own because neither of his older sisters liked them. He was interested in tools and how they worked, without any direct information or direction from the people around him. He joked that he was the oops baby because his parents hadn't meant to have another child. Some people thought they were trying to have a son because he was born 10 years after one of his sisters. Matt knew he wasn't planned when his parents put him in his mom's old sewing room, even though they never said it out loud. Matt used to play for hours with lawnmowers, hand tools, and toys that he would take apart and try to put back together again. There was no one to teach him, so he learned by doing things himself and making mistakes. In a 2022 interview with the Essential Craftsman show, he said that he had always been curious about how things worked. In his hometown, there weren't many tools or pieces of equipment available, but he used what he could find and learned by doing in the family shed. Matt became more interested in mechanics when he was in high school. Still, a lot of the people around him thought that jobs in the mechanical arts were less respected than jobs in the office. His teachers and classmates pushed him to go into jobs that needed college degrees and required working inside. Even so, Matt kept working on dirt bikes and other cars with his friends, which helped him get better at fixing things. He also began making videos of his projects and tests with his dirt bike. Some of these movies were posted on YouTube as early as 2011, but he didn't really think about it as a plan at that time. Matt chose to get a welding license after he graduated from high school. He could focus on a skill he already liked because of this step. This was his first job after high school. It was at a gardening business. At first, he did simple building jobs like making retaining walls. Later, he moved on to more difficult tasks. As the business grew to offer excavation and other connected services, that's when he bought his first big machine. For him, it was a big deal. However, the job required a lot of hard work and didn't seem like the end goal. After that, Matt worked for a short time in a machine shop. He had a steady paycheck and perks at that job, but he wasn't happy there. His mind was set on something more interesting, something that kept him close to tools and the work he had come to enjoy. He also worked in different factories and on building sites, where he tried out different jobs that let him learn and use his mechanical skills. He often took machines apart and used what he called the sledgehammer and torch approach to figure out what needed fixing. Matt had to deal with a lot of problems during these years. He had no one to lead him. His work was still looked down upon by many of the people around him, but everything he did, from running machines to fixing engines, helped him learn. Working those early jobs gave him the information and skills that helped him start Diesel Creek. He was a different person because of his past. He didn't need praise or approval to keep going. He did what he was told, learned by doing, and made a living out of what he liked. Journey on YouTube. Matt Stetar started posting videos on YouTube in 2011. He shared videos of dirt bikes and other extreme vehicles from when he was in high school in Burgettstown, Pennsylvania. The first uploads didn't have an official channel name. They were just short videos of Matt and his friends working on ATVs. The videos brought in about $5 a month, which wasn't much but was enough to make him think about making money from material. It wasn't common for people to have YouTube careers back then, and Matt didn't take it seriously. After leaving YouTube in 2013, he worked in gardening, machine work, and pipeline repair. He learned how to fix things at these jobs, but he didn't have much time to make films. Matt lost his job in 2020 during the pandemic. He went back to YouTube with more free time and started the Diesel Creek channel. His new focus was on big machinery, building, and fixing things up. He talked about his desire to fix old computers and saw that more people were interested in the same thing online. In 2019, he put out his first important movie under the name Diesel Creek. In it, he fixed up heavy machinery. At first, the channel grew slowly, but the time was right. Matt's simple movies started to get attention as more people stayed home and looked for things to do. He made movies by himself with simple tools and a stand most of the time. People liked that in his early work. He fixed things without editing or polishing them. Matt mostly worked on fixing up trucks, bulldozers, and excavators. He bought a lot of them at sales or when he found them abandoned. In each video, he showed how he found the problem, looked for parts, and used his welding and technical skills to fix it. His clear steps made it easy for new viewers to learn and kept old viewers interested. People were able to focus on the work because he was serious and calm. By 2020, he had thousands of new members. He began making money from YouTube ads, sales of Diesel Creek hats and shirts, links to tools, and company sponsorships. He posted almost every week. He worked full-time on YouTube by 2021. Will It Start was the name of one of his most popular movies, which had over 10 million views by September 2023. Excavator that was left behind for years. In this movie, he fixed up an old dump truck that he bought at an auction. It had been left empty for many years. Matt showed how he checked the engine, changed broken parts, and worked on it until it made noise again. People kept watching the video because they were interested in what happened. It was easy for people to follow along because he was clear about his steps and didn't use any fancy machines. The video was almost an hour long and showed close-ups of every step. It was also honest when fixes didn't go as planned, like when he found a leak in the hydraulics. Getting an old farm truck running again was another video that was watched about 8 million times. Matt brought an old truck back to life in it. He wrote down everything, from pulling the car out of a field to changing the battery and cleaning the engine. He put the engine to the test and fixed a lot of problems. The old truck was slowly fixed up so that it could work again. When the engine finally started, Matt's quiet happiness was clear. Many people who watched the video felt like they were back in better times because of the open fields and barns in the background. Making a 50-year-old bulldozer work again was the name of a third movie that has been watched over 7 million times. Matt discovered a tractor from the 1970s and worked for weeks to get it back to normal. Besides painting the machine, he replaced the worn-out wheels and fixed the hydraulics. The job was big and hard to do. He carefully went over each part. When he could, he used used parts and welded together broken ones. A lot of people were impressed by how creatively he solved problems. When the bulldozer finally moved dirt again, it showed how important it is to work hard over time. But what made people want to watch more of his videos? Matt's movies were unique in a number of ways. They were helpful. He taught people how to fix cars, weld, and figure out what was wrong. There were no sound effects or music used. He didn't lose sight of the work. He was honest, which made people trust him. Without trying too hard, he looked like someone they knew. He brought old tools back to life, which drew in people who liked fixing things up. Matt had room to grow because not many YouTubers talked about heavy machines. People kept coming back to watch each step in his long videos that showed his growth over time. Nearly 700,000 people have signed up for Diesel Creek by 2023, and more than 150 million hits. People who liked machines, tools, or doing physical work watched the station a lot. Matt took on new projects like fixing up an old church, which gave his show more variety while keeping its main focus. His steady growth came from people who stuck with him and saw the real value in what he did. Diesel Creek, Matt Stetar's YouTube channel, gained a regular following by showing how he fixed up heavy machinery in an unaltered way. Many people stayed to watch because he made it easy to understand each step. He worked on old machines like trucks, bulldozers, and excavators, and used simple words to explain how they worked. Yes, simple language is best because most people get technical terms mixed up. Anyone could understand what he was doing, even if they didn't know much about cars. His videos were long and showed the whole process of each job. One of these was finding a rusty machine at a sale and showing how he fixed it so it would work again. People were interested in the end result because he took his time and talked about each step slowly. The way Matt filmed helped him keep his viewers. He worked by himself with a stand and a camera. There were no sound effects or music in the background. No matter if he was fixing a broken part or fixing an engine problem, his calm speech made the steps clear. He showed what went wrong or why a fix didn't work. People trusted him because of this. He didn't try to hide how hard the job was. His movies showed what it was really like to fix something that was broken. It also mattered what kinds of tools Matt worked on. Most people would have thought that the things he picked were no longer valuable. He got it for a low price and then showed me how to fix it with simple tools and used parts. People liked the idea of bringing something back to life that had been lost. Some of his films are called Will It Start? An excavator that had been left behind for years gave people a reason to stay and watch. They held their breath to see if the machine would start up again. He worked in a quiet country area that felt like home to people who liked farming or old tools. Diesel Creek also taught people. A lot of people watched to learn how to fix cars or weld. Matt showed how to fix things without spending a lot of money by explaining what was broken and how to make it work again. The movies were helpful for people who like to do things with their hands. People who already knew how to fix things admired how carefully he went over each step. People who watched thought they could use what they learned on their own tools, even if it was just an old car or lawnmower. Matt kept people interested by posting on time every time and showing that the fixes were done. Fans could see how each project was going by watching his movies every week. People felt like they were a part of the trip when a machine finally worked again. About 700,000 people had signed up for Diesel Creek by September 2023. A lot of people watched because of both the tools and Matt's hard work. It meant something to them to see something broken slowly come back to life, one fix at a time. What's next for Diesel Creek? Others who make material switch to different types of work, but Matt has made it clear that he wants to stay on the path he is on. He said on the A Few Points from Perfect podcast in February 2022 that he was going to keep making YouTube movies for a long time. He thinks that YouTube has helped him get jobs in building and mechanics that he never thought were possible. Matt really cares about his fans, and it comes through in the way he talks about them. He said that his YouTube fans were great. This shows how much he appreciates their help. Over 758,000 people had signed up to follow him on YouTube by October 2023. These people like how detailed his repair vids are and how well he explains things. With their help, he's been able to take on bigger projects like restoring a 1957 auto truck or turning an empty church into a place where people can live. Matt wants to keep working on his channel in this way, focused on machines and building projects instead of moving into other areas. Through comments and shares, people help him stay focused on making useful, hands-on content. Besides that, Matt began building his own shop, which will assist him in his work. He will do most of his repairs in this new shop, which will also let him work on bigger and more complicated tools. In later movies, he wants to show parts of this shop where he fixes engines and makes custom parts. He will be able to work more efficiently in his new area and keep making long, detailed videos. This shows that he wants to grow Diesel Creek in a way that keeps his link to mechanical work, which has always been the channel's main focus. Matt now has an online shop where he sells things like hats, shirts, and things that have to do with drinks. This store, dieselcreek.com, is for his die-hard fans and fits with the rough, hard-working style of the channel. Even though the shop is small, it is slowly getting bigger and making more money. In addition to the money he makes from ads on YouTube, Amazon links, and companies like Shell. More than 30,000 people follow him on Instagram and Facebook, which helps get his work seen by even more people. He also talks about parts of his life on these pages, like spending time with his 3 dogs and being outside with his wife, Ava Simone. However, he doesn't show much of his personal life to the public. Matt wants to make more content for Diesel Creek that people who like tools will find interesting. He wants to keep making shows like Building a Homestead from Nothing, in which he works on a piece of land next to a creek, and Abandoned Church Renovation, in which he fixes up an old church. He will be able to keep making movies as long as he fixes things like the Alice Chalmers forklift and the Komatsu excavator. The main skills he shows, like welding, making parts, and fixing machines, will still be at the center of his films. He thinks that YouTube can teach and motivate people. That's what he said on the podcast. He wants to get better at what he does, not just get more attention. Matt stays interested in machines and building instead of making new kinds of work like many artists do. The people who watch him like that, he stays focused. It's clear from how well his movies do, like the one in which he starts a 1957 auto truck that had been stored away for 15 years. More than 1 million people watched that movie alone. Diesel Creek is likely to stay important for people who like to do real hands-on work as long as his new shop is being built and the store slowly grows. Matt is likely to keep making a name for himself in the world of online mechanical work, with movies that teach, tell stories, and bring old machines back to life. The most impressive restorations by Matt Stetar on Diesel Creek, which was shared on May 19, 2025, are some of his most impressive projects. They show how skilled, patient, and able to solve problems he is. A lot of the time, these repairs are done on tools that haven't been used in years. It's interesting to watch how Matt brings them back to life and how he shows each step. Whether it's a truck or an excavator, every machine shows that it cares about saving old mechanical work and teaching useful repair skills. People remember the 1957 autocar truck as one of his best works. Over 1 million people watched the movie called First Start of 1957 Autocar Truck in 15 Years. The truck had a broken engine and a rusty body, so it had been sitting in a field. Matt began by dumping the old oil and discovered thick sludge that took hours to clean up. He fixed the engine, changed the spark plugs, and wired the ignition all over again. He made each step very clear. Several movies were used for the project, showing him how to make a homemade gasket and fix a fuel pump. There were months of work that went into getting the engine to start. People liked how Matt used simple tools to bring back an old part of American trucking past. The Galleon 503 road grader from the 1960s was another long project. In a show called 1950s Galleon 503 Road Grader Restoration, he showed it off. It was at a sale that Matt found the grader. There was a leak in the hydraulic lines and the engine hadn't run in 24 years. He pulled it home, took the engine apart, and put new gaskets and seals in its place. He fixed cracks in the big metal frame by welding, which he learned from a certificate. He went to junkyards to find hard-to-find parts and taught people how to fix things with what they could find. At the end of the movie from May 16, 2025, the dirt road was made smoother. People liked how, after each fix, The machine was in working order again. It was another machine that Matt brought back in a thorough series. He bought it in bad shape. It didn't have any hydraulics and the tracks were worn out. He fixed the pump, changed the hoses, and made new track pins. Close-ups of each fix, such as wrench work and welding, were shown. After that, the digger was used on his land to make a creek bed. The project was shown in the video Matt Stetar's Most Incredible Projects on Diesel Creek, which came out on May 18, 2025. People watched the fix for weeks because it taught them how to work with complicated systems and kept their attention. For another job, a $700 crane truck was bought at an auction. For $700, it was shown in the crane truck series. The Ford big block V8 engine in the truck was stuck. Matt took the engine out in the woods, used simple tools to clean the valves and replace the bearings. It was also time to fix the hydraulic arm. He put the seals back on and added fluid. At the end, the truck was moving and going. On April 28, 2025, this was caught on video. People who do their own fixes could relate to how Matt used old parts and worked with little money. The tractor that Alice Chambers has was bought on Facebook Marketplace. It became well known in the run of cheapest forklifts on Marketplace. When he bought it, the forklift barely worked and ran on gas. Matt fixed up the engine, put in new fuel parts, and welded on new frames. He moved heavy things around his land with it. In the video from June 1, 2025, Matt could be seen rushing to make changes to the engine. Viewers liked how a small purchase was turned into a useful tool, showing how making fixes can help you in real life. It was also the Brockway truck repair that stood out. On Diesel Creek in May 2025, Matt Stetar showed off his most amazing restorations on this one. 5 buckets of water were in the engine. Matt took out the water, cleaned the cylinders, and changed the seal on the head. He worked on rusty and stuck parts. When things were done a few times, the truck started. People were interested in seeing if he could make it work again. He showed that he could fix and weld things together so that even broken tools could work again. The JCT brush cutter that was bought at an auction by Ritchie Brothers needed a lot of work. Matt fixed the hydraulic motor, changed the gears, and welded the frame together to make it stronger. He used it to get rid of heavy brush in the May 2025 film. People saw how the fixed tool worked in the real world. He talked about how the machine moved the liquids, following clear steps that were simple to understand. This project became one of his most watched playlists. Matt's repairs are one of a kind because they look so real. As it is written on Wikitubia, he works alone with simple tools in his shop in Burgettstown, Pennsylvania. His vids don't have any cool effects. They only think about the work, like checking an engine or getting rid of rust. His speech is clear, and he shows how each part works. Trucks like the 1970 Autocar Semi were fixed up to run, not just cleaned up on the outside. He added a new part to his work when he decided to rebuild a church in 2025, but it was still related to building and fixing things. An April 20th, 2025 video called Matt Stetar's Most Valuable Transformations at Diesel Creek shows how many people are interested in how his work turns out. People keep watching to see what he does with broken or missing parts. Most of the time, he makes his own parts or finds them in junk. The machines come back to life thanks to his skill and care. Biography Tribune says that Diesel Creek has been watched over 150 million times. That number shows how Matt's careful work has made something lasting. He has skillfully turned rusty metal into tools that work. Matt Stetar's YouTube account, Diesel Creek, also had a video on January 15, 2023, called Taking the Autocar to a Blizzard Will It Survive? He showed his fixed-up 1957 autocar truck moving through snow in Burgettstown, Pennsylvania. This video stood out because it put the truck to the test after months of careful repairs. Matt brought the truck back to life after leaving it to rust and get stuck in earlier videos on the channel. Matt was getting the car ready for the storm at the beginning of the video. The weather report said there would be more than a foot of snow. He checked all of the truck's parts, like the new spark plugs, remade carburetor, and rewired ignition. He set up a stand for his camera and started filming as he drove his truck on snowy roads. He talked about how the four-wheel drive system worked while he was moving. The truck had been used on a farm, but now it had to deal with frozen hills and deep snow. Matt talked about how the heavy frame and new transmission made the truck move. As it snowed harder, I used the truck to clear the driveway of a neighbor. In one part, the truck slid on ice, and Matt had to carefully change the gas and steering. He told us how he did it so that even people who don't know much about big cars could understand. The fact that the car kept going through packed snow showed how strong the fix was. People kept watching because there was a chance that the truck would break down. Afterward, Matt showed himself adding chains to the tires to make them grip better. During the video shoot, he showed the steps in a cool and deliberate way. The video had a country feel to it because it was shot in snowy fields and barns. The truck had done its job and gone home by the end. Matt didn't cut or edit the video. He let it run the whole test from beginning to end. The movie stood out because it felt so real. Matt didn't use fast cuts or loud effects. The truck and the weather did the work for him. The Biography Tribune says that as of February 2025, the movie had been seen more than 500,000 times. Many people on Matt's Instagram account, which has over 30,000 followers, said nice things about how well the car handled the snow. The movie showed what Diesel Creek is all about: real repairs and tough tests done in real life. Matt's display of the motor car in a tough situation showed how well he can fix up and use old machines. But how much money does he have from YouTube so far? Let's find out. How wealthy is Matt Stetar? Making videos for YouTube and sharing things on social media can make you money, but not everyone does it just to make money. This is true for Diesel Creek's Matt Stetar. Net Worth Spot says that he is worth $1.8 million as of 2025. Over 950,000 people follow him on YouTube, and his videos have been seen over 150 million times. On his website, dieselcreek.com, he also sells things like shirts and hats, which brings in extra cash. As his biography in Tribune says, he makes extra money through sponsorships with companies like Shell. A Komatsu excavator and a Caterpillar bulldozer are some of the big machines that Matt owns. These machines are useful, but they cost a lot to keep up. His channel keeps getting bigger thanks to videos like 1957 autocar truck starts for the first time in 15 years. These videos show that he can use his knowledge of mechanics to make a steady living. From the outside, it may look like he lives a fancy life, but he spends most of his time working on machines and their parts. His goal is not to get rich. In February 2022, Matt talked on the podcast A Few Points from Perfect about how he started getting money from his videos just to cover the cost of filming them. He never wanted to get rich. He shows this by putting a lot of time and care into every job, like restoring a 1960s Galleon road grader and a $700 crane truck he bought at an auction. The goal of these tasks is on skill rather than making money. His current net worth is a lot more than the $300,000 that was thought to be his earlier worth. But as Net Worth Spot points out, it's still not as much as the highest paid YouTubers. Since Diesel Creek is getting bigger with new projects like building his shop and fixing up a church, Matt's income is likely to go up. He still cares about fixing old tools and showing off his work. His audience stays interested in what he builds because he is honest. Matt has turned his work into a learning tool for people who like mechanical shows over the past few years. This shows how determined he is. Do you think he'll soon have 1 million subscribers? Leave a review and tell us what you think. Thanks for seeing it. Please follow our channel to see more movies.